Oh, we're on. I was just researching the topic of this video, procrastination. Well, at least that's what I tell myself every time I'm found scrolling and wasting time. I am an expert in procrastination. Today I'm going to share with you some things I've learned because I am superb at procrastinating. It's that good. I could put it on my CV, on my resume as... Yeah, no, I shouldn't. That's terrible. Procrastination can be a nightmare. It really is a big problem to a lot of people. And I can relate to every one of you that are sat there now that probably should be doing something else, that are watching a video on how to get going and do something else. I get it. I've put this video off for weeks while procrastinating doing this video. How much research do you need? Like, I know all this because I've gone through every different version of how to fix it. And it's not easy. So I'm going to run you through a few of the ways that procrastination can be fixed, or at least little tiny ways we can work on it. Procrastination, in my opinion, is like physiotherapy. You don't go once and come out and be like, wow, finished. No, it's a process. It's a process. It's kind of like changing your diet to eat healthier. You don't just wake up tomorrow and be like, right, just lettuce for me then. No, it's, you taper off some of the bad stuff, you taper in some of the good stuff. It might take you a few weeks to get to where you want to be, but you can absolutely get to where you want to be. So here's my overview on how we can work on your procrastination and be better together. Procrastination is not laziness. It can feel like that, and it does to me. I'm sat on the sofa and I'm like, oh, I've got a job to do and I don't want to do it. It can even be stupid, insignificant things like empty the dishwasher. We all know that's not a big deal. That is really not a big deal, but sometimes it feels like it is. And you put it off, and then plates and bowls are building up on the side, and you put it off some more, and then you do it. And it was like, oh, that didn't even take 5 minutes. That was dead easy. Yeah, that's like most things. Unloading the dishwasher is not an example of where you might fear failure. That's more of a, something I have to do, but I prefer not to. Sometimes in life you've just got to do what you prefer not to. That's just part of it. But there's some other things out there that have different causes for the procrastination. For me, I've only learnt this in the last year or two, it's a fear of failure. It's a weird, deep down perfectionist mindset. It's why I don't like doing DIY and things around the house. That's really bizarre to say, but it turns out I have a bit of a fear of something not being good enough and then it bugging me for years. If you were to paint your walls and you got the colour of the walls on the roof, well, one, from a rational point of view, that's a really easy fix. You just go over with some white paint and neaten it up. And two, it's not that tricky. It's not that challenging. You take your time, tape it up. There's things you can do to make it right. But at the same time, my brain still gets stuck in the idea of, what if it's wrong? What if it doesn't go to plan? What if I run out of paint? What if this doesn't work like I want? And that holds me back in loads of areas. And it's really hard. Procrastination's a pain. So here's a few ways we're going to get through procrastination. The first thing I do is break the task down into tiny chunks. If you were making a meal, you might look at that and think, there's 6 different ingredients and I need to do this and that. But at the end of the day, you only need to do one step at a time. The goal is not to rush in, get everything out, start chopping, getting plates, pans and bowls out. No, you just do one job at a time. If you need to peel the potatoes, get the potatoes and just peel them. And it's like, well, that's not a big deal. And then by the time you finish the potatoes, you go and get the carrots and you chop the carrots. And it's like, well, that's 2/5 done. And then you go and get another thing, and it's easy to look at the whole group of tasks as if that's the task. When in reality, everything in life can be broken down into tiny increments that are all quite insignificant. So that's something that I focus on big time. It's just making things more bite-sized, making it a bit more manageable so you can work through it. And also, I find massively that when I've done job one, I've got the potatoes out, I've peeled them, I'm like, well, I'm out, I'm ready, I've got a knife and all my stuff. Well, I may as well do the carrots while I'm here. Strange analogy, I know, I get it, but off the top of my head, it sort of works. But you can break jobs down into little tasks. Another way I get started, if getting started's the problem, is you go into the kitchen, hypothetically, you just get everything out. Do the absolute bare minimum. Whatever's the minimum that is progress, do that. You go into the kitchen and getting all your equipment out, you get a knife, you get a chopping board, you get your potatoes. Well, you've just done part of that task. That is step one. In the same way that going for a run, sometimes the hardest part for people is putting their running shoes on and stepping out the door. That's not the hardest part in a run, looking at it logically, but it can be the hardest mental barrier to get through. And that's all it is. You know, the same with running. Pop your shoes on and just set off walking. Say, right, I'm going to walk around the block. And if you're halfway around and you're feeling good, well, pick up the pace and get a jog on. If you're halfway around the block and you're like, today is not my day, you just walk home. You just turn around and try again tomorrow. That's fine too. Not everything has to be done military style, like you see on social media these days. There's so many people that are like, right, get your office, shut your blinds, turn your lights off, turn your phone off, get into your own little world. No, that's hard work. You've got to be a special kind of crazy to really love diving into hard tasks. And don't get me wrong, some people love that, and some days you'll manage just like I manage. Some days I pick up a hard task and I'm like, wow, piece of piss. Some days that's just too much, and I get it. But if you start off with a bare minimum, whatever's the minimum acceptable amount of work done, that's the start. You know, making notes on an essay you need to write, doing the structure, just putting something to something that gets the ball rolling, that gets you started. Another thing, contrary to popular belief, I often try and do the easiest job first. Sometimes people like doing the hardest job first. They go in and they need to do a job and they're like, right, I'll do the horrible bit and I'll get it out the way. I like that when I'm feeling good. When I'm feeling productive, I'm feeling motivated, I like to dive in the deep end, get the worst out the way, and then it just gets easier as you get through it. When you're procrastinating and struggling, like we do, sometimes it's better just to start with the bare minimum. Whatever's the easiest. Like today, turn the camera on and set the light up. That was it. And then I started just looking at my notes and bits and bats, and it was like, right, well, all I need to do now is combine these two and we've got a thing. So yeah, start with the easiest job ever, not the hardest. If I had to come in and I chose to script this video, I don't script my videos because I find that really challenging. I just come in and I make a few notes, a few scrappy notes, and I just go for it. Whereas if you were to come in and write a full script and put the pressure on yourself to be engaged and be like, right, I've got to read this out, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be right, it's hard. And that's the reason I like unscripted videos like this. I like to just talk honestly, because how can you fail in just sharing your thoughts? You know, there's not one thing on planet Earth that everybody agrees on. Another way to beat procrastination that I find really helpful is not necessarily tell everyone what your goals are or what you're trying to do, but tell one or two important people. Like my wife, Lucy. You know, if I'm going to try and do a thing, I'd be like, Lucy, I'm going to do this, you know. If she's aware, she's more inclined to push me in the direction that I'm aiming for. If Lucy doesn't know what I'm doing and I'm on the fence like, I should go to the gym, should I not? Sometimes Lucy saying, get your gear on and go to the gym is like, okay. I find it better sometimes for someone to just tell me. It's really hard working for yourself because you have to tell you what's next. But sometimes, and like in traditional employment, if somebody says, can you do this for me next? It's like, well, that's what I'm doing. That's what he needs, that's what they need, that's what she needs. And it's the same with things like the gym or fitness or healthy eating. If you're trying to eat really healthy and your partner's not on board or your family are not, it's just going to be harder. So ask for support and help, because people will help you. People love to help. They really do. There's some grumpy people out there that just can't even help themselves. Ignore them. Most normal people will be happy to help. And if that's enough to just get the ball rolling, for example, if you had a big DIY project, you're digging up your backyard, for you to go out with a shovel and just look at it and think, this is a lot of work, have some friends around. Have somebody come down and just help you with it. Have somebody do the crap jobs with you. you know? Or, while you're doing the crap jobs, they're doing some of the good jobs. But at the end of the day, you're getting twice as much done. So there's just less work for both of you. It's great. And maybe my last key point is try remove at least a few distractions. Like I mentioned, you don't have to lock yourself in a dark room where there's no sunlight and put earplugs in and live in a cave. You don't have to do that. But put your phone on silent. And what I do is I just turn it over. You can't see anything if it's face down. There's no notifications come through to the computer. I've turned the notifications off on my watch. It only buzzes if it rings. Because if somebody rings, they normally want you. If somebody sends you a text saying, oh, what do you want for tea? I can reply to that in 30 minutes. It's fine. I'm just going to get this job done. So remove some distractions. Just take the edge off. Remove a few bits and bats. Like I say, you don't have to go into the loft or your cellar in darkness and get your head down. You know, this is not meant to be torture. We're just trying to get jobs done. And if that means leave your phone in a different room. Go and put it on charge at the side of your bed. Come into wherever you're working and be like, right, I'm just going to do 10 minutes. Just set a timer. Just get something like this, a little timer, just to pop, you know, literally just set a timer going for a small amount of time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even 5, even 2. If you were like, I'm going to empty the dishwasher, I'm going to set a 2-minute timer. We all know you'd be 90% complete after 2 minutes because that's a 3-minute job. And even that, and if you want to stop after 2 minutes, please do. Just give it a miss. Be like, right, if you did 2 minutes out of every hour, that seems insignificant, but at the end of the day, you're still getting jobs done, you're still making progress towards your goals. So tiny little increments really do compound over time and add up to a lot. So just set the bar so low that you'd struggle to fail. And you'll find yourself flying through stuff. And what happens to me, I'll say, I'm going to go to the garage, it needs to be cleaned out and tidied, I'll just get rid of all the rubbish. That's easy, right? Go around the box and put all the rubbish in. By the time you've done that, it looks better. And you're like, it's going the right way. So then head back to the garage, or if you've not left, and then move something else that's easy. You know, you've got, there's some wood in the corner. That needs stacking up, so you just stack the wood. And you think, well, there's some boxes on the floor. I don't need these boxes, so you scrap the boxes. You know what I mean? So you just keep going through, ticking tiny little jobs off, instead of looking at your garage thinking, wow, this is a mess, this will take hours, where do I start? Start with the lowest barrier to entry, and you'll find yourself just building momentum. You know, I get a really good feedback loop when I've done something. There's almost something in my head that went, well done, you've done a thing there. And then after that, it's like, I did a thing there. And, you know, and it sounds daft, but it's totally true. All we are trying to do is combat our own psychology. That's it. There's no physical problem in the way. We're not locked in a room that we can't get out of to do a job. It's all in our own heads. Well, don't get me wrong, that doesn't make the problem less, and it doesn't make it go away. You know, mental health is health. And I've struggled a lot with that over the last few months. Hence the procrastination, and anxiety and depression, and that's too much. But yeah, I've struggled with all that sort of stuff. So all we're trying to do is change the way we think about the exact same thing. Because at the end of the day, if your goal is to unload the dishwasher, and at the end you've unloaded it, well, it doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter if you did one item every 15 minutes and it takes you 6 hours. Don't get me wrong, you've probably got other things to do, fine. But you know what I mean. You know, you can just chip away at stuff over time, and you've kind of got to taper back in to feeling productive, in my opinion, you know. It's kind of like being really fit and then taking a month off, hypothetically. Coming back, you can't necessarily just dive in where you left off. No, you might need to just drop down a few levels. And that's what I've really struggled with too. Coming back, sort of improving out of the anxiety and depression. Now I'm feeling better again. Marginally. You know, we went from like a 2 out of 10 to like a 5 or a 6. I can't do what I used to do. I just can't. I get burnt out too quick. I get exhausted. But I come back and maybe half a day's work is a great success. You don't have to come back in and be 10 out of 10. You don't have to go back to fitness and be as fit, fast and strong as you were. You just need to come back and make a start and get back in that routine and get that rhythm going again. So yeah, procrastination's a real challenge, but that's a few things that have really helped me out. Also, bear in mind, if a job can be put off till later, it's easy to do so. Sometimes it's easier just to do it. Sometimes you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you've got to kick your own ass. Sometimes you've got to do it when you hate it and don't want to. Just try. Give it a go. You know, you don't even know how many days I've just been on the sofa downstairs thinking I have got loads to do and couldn't get up and do anything. Couldn't get up to eat. And I was like, I'll do it in a bit. So yeah, to summarise, break it down into small chunks. Don't be too hard on yourself. Make it as easy as possible and make it so you can't really fail. And worst case, you don't do the job now and you come back and do it later. In the same sense that if you do start doing a job and you're feeling good, keep going. You know, double down on it. I'm not saying you start doing the dishwasher and then you think, oh, I'll clean the kitchen and clean the living room and clean your bedroom and clean the... You don't have to go mad because you might get back burnt out again. Do enough to do the job. If you're feeling great, maybe do one more. If you're feeling really great, keep going. Don't lose that momentum. Keep going. But procrastination is real. It's not just laziness. You're not unique. I struggle with this. Lots of people struggle with this. This video's taken me about 3 weeks to make. And, well, this is because of the title of this video, I'm an expert in procrastination. But you got this far, I did, we did it. Me and you have done a job. So hopefully, you've learnt what I sort of have learnt, and we can both be better. That's the goal, right? And if you found this useful, leave a like. And if there's anything you're struggling with, specifically, leave a comment. It's really fun to read some of the comments because although we're all struggling with similar things, we're struggling in the same way, but with different things, which I find fascinating. Some jobs to you would be easy to me, and some jobs to me would be easy to you. And I find it really interesting to see through other people's perspective. It's really unique. And if you want to see more videos, subscribe. If you want to get better, that's the whole purpose of this channel. We're trying to get better. So more videos like this, we're going to improve your life, and yeah, we'll just be the best we can.